Welcome everybody, it is me, Sacred G, and welcome to another video. And today we're going to be talking about New Vegas. That is correct, ladies and gents. We are going to be discussing, and I'm going to be giving a spoiler-free, or trying to be spoiler-free, in this review. So, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. So, let's talk about the story. Without spoiling too much, you are a courier who is bound to deliver a special poker chip, and you are ambushed by a fancy-dressed man known as Matthew Perry. And he is also after the chip, so he shoots you in the head and leaves you for dead. And now it's up to you to go, well, it's pretty much you go and try to find this person, and then that's when shit ensues. So, for me personally, I'm going to be honest. I thought the story or the Benny aspect of New Vegas was pretty cool. Okay, you actually have motivation to get to the main big-ass city in the game, and the thing that doesn't make sense to me is why would Mr. House, maybe I missed out dialogue options or something, and if I did, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm willing to admit I could be wrong here, but I just don't get why Mr. House would want you, a courier who failed in the first place and didn't even defend themselves when Benny ambushed them, would want somebody, and Mr. House is one of the people you meet in the game, and why he would still want to work with you, it just doesn't make sense to me. And, you know, I just didn't understand why a courier would have anything to do with the rest of the stuff that happens in the game. To me, it just didn't make sense. I'm not saying it's bad. I personally enjoyed it, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in that aspect, at least to me. Maybe I'm missing something, I have no idea. But other than that, I thought the story was pretty phenomenal in terms of a Fallout game. Nothing much else to say about that, so let's move on to the other good stuff that's in New Vegas. You know, let's talk about the world. The world is, at least to me, fun. I don't mind the desert setting. I don't mind the fact that there is barely really anything for you to see besides like a couple of like really neat and very memorable locations in the game. But I will say this, if you are coming from Fallout 4 or Fallout 3, where there were locations left, right, and center no matter where you went, there was always something popping up on the fucking cursor, or the compass, on the compass, you're going to be a little disappointed with this game. Now, I'm not saying that there's no unique locations in this game and it's not worth exploring. I think, in my own opinion, New Vegas is indeed worth exploring. Okay, I think the unique locations stand out, mainly due to the fact it is a desert setting and there's really not very much to see in terms of like huge buildings and destroyed landscapes and skyscrapers, nothing like that. I personally enjoyed it. And the other thing too, you know, you may be just disappointed. Like, you know, you're seeing all these locations in the other two games made by Bethesda, and you come to New Vegas and it's kind of empty, if that makes sense. Like, some locations, I'll even admit, are boring as fuck, and every significant playthrough, I avoid certain locations because I know there's nothing there to see. And I think, honestly, I would say if you like exploring the games to begin with, because there are boring stretches in Fallout 4 and 3, I think New Vegas is no different. That's my stance on it. What do you guys think of the world yourselves? The sheer amount of content and choices in the game, I'm going to group these two together, is phenomenal. Okay, for me personally. I don't think the choices like really stand out all that great compared to what other people say. I mean, I've seen the same shit happen in Fallout 4 with the side quests, so you get not a bunch. Fallout 4 was very limited. I didn't bring that up in the review, but New Vegas has a bunch of, like, other or different ways to complete a side quest. Some of them have a lot of ways to complete a side quest. Some quests really don't. It's kind of a mixed bag. And I think that's where, you know, the stories are different in that they're like their own significant story. Some have, like, multiple ways you could complete that story. And there was a few quests I saw that, like, there were only two ways. But yes, every choice matters, and especially once you get to the end of the game, And, well, I wouldn't say every. I would say more so the quests that show up at the end of the game. And the best part is that a lot of them show up at the end of the game. And so your decisions and your choices actually do have an impact on the way the wasteland turns out, if that makes any sense. And I think that's awesome. I personally do. A lot of people are like, well, I would rather see it than actually have it told to me, and I could get that. You're not wrong for thinking that way. For me, I don't mind the game ending once you actually complete the main story to the game. And yes, that is a massive spoiler, and as I said, I'm trying not to spoil the game. But yes, the game does end. But the thing is that it is well worth it once you put the time into the fucking game. Now let's talk about the combat. Now, a lot of people like to shit on the combat for New Vegas for God knows why. I have no clue why they do. Now, there are some instances where it sucks. I will say it is not as bad as people are saying. I personally think, from my own experience, as Sunny Smiles put it, crouching gives you accuracy, or more accuracy. She literally says that, and you are more accurate in the game when you crouch, at least in my own experience, unless those are the bug fix mods, doing all that stuff on PC at least. And I don't think the shooting's that bad. I don't even think melee's that bad in this game. I mean, there are instances, where you shoot somebody and then all of a sudden that bullet is like a ghost and it goes fucking through the person instead of actually, hitboxing the motherfucker. And that is infuriating at times. But I don't see it happening, or at least in my experience, I didn't see it happen all that much. I've seen it happen maybe a couple times where my hits didn't register, which is, again, annoying. However, not as bad as people are making it out to be. And and granted, this game is several years old, so keep that in mind as well. So, in other words, I don't think the shooting's that bad. Just give it a shot. Try crouching if you really think the shooting's that bad. I don't know. Maybe some people are experiencing these types of issues. I personally really haven't in pretty much any of the games, or the 3D games. So, let's move on. Holy fucking moly, the weapons. There's just so many of them, especially when you have the Ultimate Edition. Now, if you purchase just the standalone base game, you probably won't have access to all these unique weapons and all these other guns that you can find in the game. But I'm pretty sure the base game, if I'm not mistaken, has already a fuck ton of weapons anyways. There's so many to choose from. You'll be coming back. Multiple playthroughs, subsequent playthroughs of this game you will have, and you will be choosing different weapons every time. Oh, well, there's this weapon, but my character's more specifically a rifleman, not really a shotgun surgeon type of person. And then you make another character, and they are a shotgun surgeon. You're like, fuck yeah, I got the hunting shotgun. I love that gun, by the way, in the game. Always a shotgun I see, I'm like, oh man, I want to grab that gun, but when I play a character who's a rifle type of character, I'm like, damn, I need to make another character. But there are a fuck ton of weapons. There's even chainsaws in this game. There's katanas. There's a bunch of different fucking melee and ballistic weapons that you can find in the game or purchase off of vendors in the game as well. And I find that personally fucking awesome. And just the sheer amount of weapons, just again, as I just stated, just goes to show you that you can come back and play through this game and do it in a different way. And it's just awesome. I mean, I don't know what other RPG has this many fucking weapons. Especially with GRA, man. That just adds to all the weapons you can already get in the game. So, I spent too much time talking about that. Let's move on. There are plenty of characters to meet, whether in the main quest itself, whether that be in side quests or random encounters. Sorry about that pop there, or whatever the fuck that was. Anywho, I really dig the characters. You'll meet a plethora. Like, I personally liked being able to talk to pretty much a good amount of people in the little towns or the settlements that you can stumble across and explore a little bit of and trade and purchase things and everything in between in that sense. There's a lot of unique and interesting people you can talk to in the game. You can help them out, whatever the case may be. You can fucking blow their head off if you want to. Just a really, really well-written game, in my opinion. And I just personally... There are a few characters I am going to say I think really just don't make sense. And I also think, like, it's neat talk, as I said, neat talking to pretty much a good amount of people in the settlements. I don't really think that it's worth it, because at the end of the day, you're just having a conversation. Yeah, some of these people will give you some unique takedowns and for unarmed characters and stuff like that, and or unique abilities like a takedown or something like that. It's just, you know, a lot of the times you talk to somebody, they don't have a significance to the main quest, if that makes sense. And I'm not referring to the strip, I am referring to the small towns that you can stumble across. And everybody, you know, says, oh my gosh, that's so awesome, I don't know why Bethesda doesn't do that. Well, the reason is because of the fact that half of these people you don't even come back to, and I think a lot of people wouldn't give a fuck about their opinion on a certain thing anyways. Like, you know, it's cool, it makes them feel like their own person, and I do appreciate that. And in a sense, you know, Bethesda did add that in Starfield a little more. Anywho, yeah, I personally liked myself being able to talk to some people, and I'm bringing that up because I don't think a lot of people, or for the people mainly, that don't like sitting through dialogue. So just to note, you can go and meet and talk to people. Of course, you could skip through the dialogue if you wanted to, so I don't recommend doing that. However, you do you. You play the game how you want. Let's move on to the last one. I'm going to try to keep this review short. The final thing I do want to talk about is the soundtrack to the game. The game has an amazing soundtrack that was brought back, or some of the tracks were from Fallout 3, and they brought back some tracks from Fallout 1 and 2. So there are set areas that have certain soundtracks that play, and they're just phenomenal. The moment you walk out from Doc Mitchell's house from the start of the game, you are greeted by one of the most disturbing intro songs in the game, at least to me, because every time this happens, no matter how many playthroughs I've been through, just that opening, that Good Springs theme is what I like to call it, is just very, not haunting, but it just gets you set in the mood for what game you're playing, if that makes sense. And Vault 22 has the best soundtrack. I know that tracks used in other areas in the game, but Vault 22 most notably. Go check that place out and tell me what you think. So, let's wrap this review up. I love this game. You know, at first, when I first started playing the game, I didn't understand it, and this was years ago. Or I didn't understand the type of game this was. And after giving it a shot again several years ago, I think 2020-ish, no, 2019, 2020-ish, is when I gave the game and sat down, played it, and gave it a shot, and I fell in love with the game. I highly recommend this game. I don't think it's a perfect game by any means. I don't even think it's a perfect Fallout game. I think, honestly, it's a good Fallout game. I just don't think it's perfect, if that makes sense. Other than that, let me know what you thought of Fallout New Vegas in the comments down below, and let's have a discussion about it. Anyways, it's me, Sacred G. I hope you guys liked the review. Peace the fuck out, and signing off. See ya.